So let's turn off all these thingies, and we are starting with game number 2 just now, and it's going to be Arabia. It's going to be dry version of Arabia. I'm going to leave the Fog of War off for the moment because I want to see if somebody is going to be stealing a bar, because that's something that CZs do like to do. And looking at the civilizations, that's Mongols, Huns, Mayans from CZs, and basically the same for VIK, so it's going to be decided all by skill yet again, not really any kind of potential civ advantage for either team, but that's not something that really happens in any team game anyway, because even if you choose something a bit different, it's still going to be having its very interesting and important place in the game. So far, it's almost looking like that actually Red is attempting to go for a bit of stealing. You can see that he's going to be arriving in Follow Your Mind's base pretty soon, but where is the boar? At the bottom, this could be stealable. It's quite far away. Whereas the one on the right is already going to be taken by error. And let's see if the red player actually is going to be finding the one on the left. Follow Your Mind knows about it. Warrior. So far, now he has discovered it, so he's going to be attempting to steal. And he is actually blue right now looking at it. That's going to be interesting to see. He doesn't have the scout anywhere nearby. You can see that he's right now quite far away. The green player is not really going to be helping him all that much either. And yep, this is a successful steal, as there's not really going to be any stopping it. Maybe blue could still. But he doesn't seem to be right now worried about it, and maybe even attempting to steal from his opponent again. So basically 1 for 1. And since those two boars are quite in the front and really unguarded, this might really happen. This might really happen. This could be a steal for a steal. Let's see. Should be seeing the boar in just a moment. He's stealing the boar. And he's going for it, of course. So it's actually going to be a steal for a steal. And is red aware? Warrior. Go for. Yeah, he definitely should have seen it. He could have seen it, so that's going to be 1 boar for 1 boar. Yep, a bit of fun in the very start of the game, but that's going to be pretty much it, as I don't expect that anybody else should be stealing anything. Could be potentially stealing the wool, but that wouldn't really do anything at all, as we are already seeing in the pocket. Winchester trying to push the deer next to the TC. Otherwise, boar at the back, right now munching on the cacti. And the second one is already under TC. It's already being butchered with a few idols in here. So that potentially could be stealable, as green is right now going in the correct direction. Oh, well. Is he going to attempt to do something? Right now going to the bottom, so he's going to miss it. Yeah, that's not going to be any steal for him. And last possibility for a steal could potentially have been on the right. That second bar, so no stealing from yellow, and the teal player is also having to, so yeah, not any kind of stealing in here. So that was just a double steal on the left, and not really any kind of advantage to be gained for either of the sides. But what's interesting to look at is that actually Follow Your Might is having pretty decent health on the scout, whereas the Eagle Warrior was a bit more dead. So if those two actually meet, that's going to be a bit of problem for the red player. And we are also right now going to be having a look on the left, where it seems like that Follow Your Might is going to be slowly working on building a wall out of the houses. Could have been a bit easier here and here, of course, but he probably hasn't scouted in there. He's thinking, just now scouting in, so he's going to be seeing that it could have been a whole lot easier for him, but yeah, fortunately not going to be the case. And interestingly enough, Teal is advancing very fast with just 20 villages, or rather 2017 villages. That's very fast advance, especially for a Mongolian. It's unusual, and I'm really curious to see what the strategy is going to be for him. Follow Your Mind, that was interesting. Clicking into Feudal Age, then clicking off going for loop, then into Feudal Age. So possibly expecting that he could be drushed or some such, which he definitely will be, as Warrior is already ready. And that actually might have been scouted by Follow. Hasn't. I was kind of thinking that maybe just reacted to actually seeing the barracks in there. And he could be drushed, but yeah, that wasn't it. That was some kind of other reason for it, or changing his mind into the loom. So, let's see. That should be stable. That's usually what Mongolians do. That's going to be scout raiding, of course, as he's already in the opponent's base and right now trying to steal sheep. That's quite cheeky. You can see that he's having a bit of engagement with the villages from Skull, who is definitely not going to allow those sheep to actually go into the opponent's base. It's a good idea, but, well, he pays a bit of his life for that, and that's because he's already into the next age. So he gets a bit of bonus into the damage, and that's exactly what decided this battle. And that was kinda underestimated, and I'm not exactly sure if Skull even noticed that his opponent is in the next age. Because that was really unusually fast advance with 17 villages, and we are probably in for some tricky strategy by him. Let's see. In the meantime, Drush, supported by Scout, is already in, but of course it's going to be quite late. Because the scouts from the teal player are already coming in as well. Oh, well, he wasn't even palisading, so he's basically going full in. He's thinking it's going to be quite fine without anything. Be that he will. Especially since the scout just now died, and the scouts from the blue player just now coming all over the base here, so it shouldn't be any kind of problem. But still, at least those 5 villagers weren't gathering anything for like a minute, or maybe it's going to be even longer than that, and that's exactly what a Drush should be doing. In the meantime, yellow is walling himself in quite nicely, protecting the gold. That's going to be quite crucial, as is the big gold mine. But otherwise, stone, not all that easy, but should be fine. There actually a hole? Probably not. But still, return into the stone, that could be a bit of a problem if some of the opponents are actually going to be going for some archers, but it probably isn't going to be the case because, of course, the Mongol courage is going to be quite fine with the scout cavalry, and that shouldn't be breaching the walls on the right, so in the end, the stone should be pretty much fine. You can see no walling for Winchester because just look at the open map. That would be like a ton of resources wasted for him. So he definitely has to hope that he's not gonna be raided. But I'm kinda thinking that CZ will be realizing exactly this, as we are seeing. Oh yeah, that was last minute hit onto the village as we was almost coming up with the wall in. But yeah, that should be pretty nicely and easily coming down, and pretty good raiding for Follow Your Mind into Warrior, whose Dash wasn't really effective, and he will definitely have to use them for a bit more defense than he hoped for. Well, Winchester in the meantime clicking into Castle Age as a pocket. No surprise there. We're also seeing the archer range coming up right now for Warrior, which is expected from Mayan. And let's see. It's going to be kind of tricky because the army from Blue is already pretty big. Even though, of course, the TC fire is going to be quite deadly to him. But still, he is making sure that there are idle villagers in the red base. You can see right now about 6-7. That's quite a lot because that's a quarter of all of them. He has 24. And that's the lowest amount of villagers because he's already lost at least one in here. And potentially even more in there. Yeah, he's definitely lost about 2 more if I see this correctly. Yeah, not really going all that well this early game. Right about now though, Gil has breached into the opponent's base, and it might be just through this hole because I don't exactly see how else could have he gotten there unless he went all around the gates, all around the walls. I haven't really seen that, so I'm kinda going to assume, actually, because there's a real hole in there. But he's going to be switching into the pocket probably, but he seems to be finishing just on time with the wall in, so shouldn't be really breached exactly as right now Winchester is. But in the meantime, Winchester has been able to build at least a few spearmen, and they will be quite fine to help the villagers defend against the scout cavalry. So switch back to the left as castle ages are coming in from Winchester, Skull and Warrior, and Nazgul as well. Warrior going for horse color, and we are seeing somebody already in. Of course, that's Winchester, and who is still not advancing? Follow Your Mind. Still sticking to feudal as a Mongolian player, and Kurt seems to be doing basically the same strategy in here so far. So he maybe has switched a bit different, rather into something a bit different from his early very fast advance into feudal. But well, seemed to have worked out so well for him so far. To be quite tight the wall in, so not really any kind of way through for Courage, so he definitely would be doing a good job of not only walling in here. Oh, Vicky Wolfie, but the village is full health and with loom, so not problem. But deflection coming for Warrior, and let's see if the blue player is going to be right now having any kind of luck with the villages, and it seems like that he will. If he plays this correctly and stops the route of those fillies, he could definitely be killing a lot of them. The Drush still alive. That's one dead. I'll be expecting at least one more, and ah yeah, this is not gonna die. Okay, so that was quite nicely played. Not only did he kill 2 extra villagers, still keeping Warrior at basically just 22 because he was advancing to the next age. So that was basically the worst moment for Raiden. He is in a... oh well. One more villager is going to be having so bad economy right now. Really so bad eco. Another villager that was well worth it. Because he doesn't really need those scouts anymore as the damage has been done. And he's down to 20 villagers at 18 minutes. Warrior has 20 villagers at 18 minutes. That's that's really bad, especially compared to others like Follow Your Mind, who is at 39, as even though he isn't in the castle age yet, still, he's having double amount of villages, so he should be quite fine to go into the castle just now, exactly. And yeah, you'll be expecting not any kind of problem in his game, at least the seconds to come, because the problems are definitely knocking on the door. And that is Winchester, with Raiden from the pocket, who wasn't really disturbed at all. And since he was advancing the fastest into the castle age, he's of course the first to annoy the opponents with the castle age units. But very nice reaction by Follow Your Mind to switch into houses, but he needs to build one here as well. Those palisades should be fine. There was just one of these walls in there. For second stable, and well, let's kind of wait for what he's going to do. I'm kind of expecting that as a Mongol he could be still going for a bit more knights, basically as a defense before he advances into Imperial Age. Right now you can see Courage going for bloodlines, so that he has not only better scout cavalry, but much more importantly I'm thinking the better knights, as he's going to be probably raiding as well, and basically playing very similarly to Follow Your Mind. So those two Mongols will be facing basically the same challenges in the game to come. In the meantime, cavalry archers from yellow. Whereas purple is already at 3 TCs, quite nicely ready for what is going to come to him. And we are also seeing that even though purple is trying to breach into blue's base, he's of course right now going to be receiving help, and not even warrior's crossbowmen should be enough in here, but still, it's quite close by, and I'm kind of thinking that those guys should be having enough range. They definitely are, and oh, almost looked like a way through. Almost did, and this palisade wall, even though it is basically doubled by the palisade at the back, shouldn't really be underestimated all that much. Going for a bit of micro Nazgul, of course, as he's having pretty nice hill, but not really enough units, so he should be retreating, which he exactly is. But he did what he needed to do. That's basically alleviate the pressure on Follow Your Mind and allowing him to get a bit ready with the knights, and yep, that's going to be it for the raiding on him. In the meantime, in the pocket, 2-3 TCs with University coming up, and looking at yellow's base, 1-2. Well, so far just 2 TCs, third right now going to be built if it's successful, which it should be, because the cavalry archers are right now probably going to be applying pressure on the opponent, basically making sure that he's not raiding all that much, but much more defending. And that's exactly what he needs to do, even though the skirmishes are ready. And might be quite enough if actually yellow makes a mistake, but so far that doesn't seem to be happening all that much. Right now, blue having pretty decent army, as he's going for a bit of raiding. Nazgul for a Botkin arrow, so that he has better plumed archers. And it's really looking like that it's going to be developing into a bit of a 2v2 on the left and 1v1 on the right, because we are seeing that Nazgul on the minimap is already moving with the next department. Not only this one, but he's already having some reinforcements sent in from his home base into the left and trying to make something happen against Warrior, who is just about to finish with the TC. Yeah, that's gonna get finished. But just, that is going to help quite nicely, because of course it will mean quite a lot of extra TC fire into the horses especially. And yep, that's something. It's going to help prevent any kind of lasting damage, but still you can see the damage will be dealt at any rate. Red Archer Armor Bloodlines from Skull. So he's going to be having a bit better cavalry archers who are already all the way back behind Kirch's base. And also have been having a bit of fun in there, but since... oh, this could be a good shot. Wait for it. He was waiting for it. But this should be pretty decent defense against this raiding from the cavalry archers. And yeah, he should be pretty much fine right about now, Courage. And shouldn't need to worry about the game all that much. At the same time, the raiding is switching from warrior, because I'm kind of thinking that actually CZs are at this point, thinking that warrior is not really any kind of threat. And since they have disabled him enough, you can see on the score he's having just 1800. It's like, that's really not enough in there. But much more importantly, his economy is having just 36 villages. Even though it's better than the 20 a few minutes earlier, it's still nowhere on par with the opponents, who are having 50, 64, 67. And even though Winchester is having 83, that's a whole ton. So basically making up for warrior. Basically because it's just one player. Kind of thinking it's not going to be as powerful, as it's always better to be having two players than just one, even slightly better. Well, bit of a switches all around, as Nazgul is switching into the right side fully, with the cavalry archers in pretty decent numbers. Some interesting upgrades so far, not really ballistics just now, helping with hitting, of course, the moving targets of overall, and a bit of idles from the wood line, but that's pretty much it so far. What is going to happen now? He has a way through, of course. He has built it himself, or rather destroyed it himself. And yeah, this is definitely a nice idea for a second row of walls to protect this tree line. And oh yeah, this is nice micro right now by Nazgul, because he knew that he's definitely gonna be caught up by the knights, and since he has found a very nice tight spot, he's going to basically making sure that not enough of the knights are able to target all those spoon touches, and that means they dish all that much more damage than otherwise they would. A few of them left, but it's going to be just now finishing probably the last two. And the last Mohican right now dead. And is there something else happening? For example, on the left. That's a pretty decent army right now by Follow Your Mind, and it seems like there is not really intent on going into the Mythical Age or rather Imperial Age. You can see the resources basically being drained totally, and he's really thinking that he can actually win it in Castle Age. That's highly unusual from Mongol, so we are definitely seeing a bit different game, and as Winchester is jumping into Imperial Age, they might really want to be sure CZs they know what they're doing, because Winchester is having very nice economy overall. European market, so potentially going to be slinging into his ally a bit, I would be thinking. And having 111 villages, that's by 20 more than 20 more than Nazgul, and the best CZ. And really, that might be getting a bit scary. The Imperial Age, once the Huns, the Paladins hit, they are quite effective in late game of course, and might be able even to turn the game around, but still, yeah, this is a big problem. This is a problem not only for Warrior, but overall VIKs, because this army is gonna die, and that's a whole lot of basically unused resources, even though he's attempting the same as Nazgul on the right. Two pretty good effects so far, but he's also losing a ton of villages, and Warrior is still at least 41, but right now 30 of them not doing anything. And well, yeah, that creates a pretty big drag. So far nicely played. Skull right now clicking into Imperial Age, and he's definitely right now thinking, I'm thinking that he's thinking that Follow Your Mind will be basically dealing with the red player in the Castle Age. He's just going to basically not allow him to gather any resources and resource starve him. Yep, I think that's going to be strategy from him. In the meantime, on the right side, you can see that Yellow was challenged by about 3 Mangonels, but yeah, didn't really pan out all that well for him, rather for the teal player, and he is quite nicely right now camped in the opponent's base, basically, not having any kind of walls in there, and already switching into a bit of a siege weapons. Sees that Skull going for market at the back, whereas in here he is building battering rams, of course, to help him in the attack, and he's also shooting at the economy, so of course that's going to be yet another problem for the teal player to deal with, as the economies are getting stronger for the opponents, for CZs and for VIKs. Going for castle. Oh, this is going to be a very important castle, because if he can get it up, that's actually going to be pretty decent defense for all the economy at the back. Whereas looking at the left, the blue is still all over the place, but at least right now Winchester is going to help him with cavaliers coming in and plate armor and guilds coming in as well. Justin indeed. Pretty decent army, and is he going to switch into raiding into blue space? Probably not all that much. Those poor camels gonna get slaughtered now. Yep, that's not going to help, and oh, that's going to be some tricky play in here going on. Unless he's caught up by the plumed archers. Oh. Oh. Nazgul, come on. Does he see it? Yes, he sees it. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame because Winchester was having definitely a pretty great plan. He was probably attempting to something like, I don't know, castle drop on the Mongol and basically keep him out of the game somehow. Nicely double vault, as you can see, prepared for everything that is to come. But in the middle, there's going to be a bit more problems for him coming up because plumed archers combined with camels. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty decent army. Even with the very strong economy that Winchester is having at 136 villages, still by 20 villages better than the best CZ. That's good so far. Oh, it's going to be a slaughter. Yeah, this isn't a good fight for Winchester. Nice cooperation by CZ. And this castle, yeah, well, it was some kind of idea. But not a very good one. Oh, another gem. Yeah, that wasn't really good at all. In the meantime, Winchester has found his way into Yellow's base. You can see that Yellow is basically right now trying to contain the damage, build an extra rows of force, and hasn't really taken down the TC, but still, I think that he basically scared Skull, and will be forcing him into full-on defensive. You can see that he's basically free in the hands of Courage, and that might work for his team quite nicely. As of course it means that there won't be any kind of pressure on the Teal player, and Teal might be able to get his feet under himself yet again and join into the fight together with his teammate Winchester. So how is Teal doing? Going for the mangonels, going for another castle, as he's Mongol, he's of course going to need that. Imperial Age for Follow Your Mind, and Paladins for Winchester. Is there actually Sling from the red? Would be maybe expecting so, but there isn't. And this is just Winchester playing so well. This is just Winchester really showing his quality. Basically all above the opponents, above all the opponents, and really, he is the most important part of the VIK's game so far, and is the only one, or rather only one, the most important one that is keeping them above water. Probably waiting for another castle drop. He does have the stone right about now, so that's going to be another castle about here. He definitely wants the castle in here, so he just went started chopping on the tree so that he couldn't build upon it, and this is going to prevent the stone and kinda maybe halfway the gold as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe, not really sure how much of a range. 10 could be preventing even the gold, and that's that's going to be a pretty big problem for the red player because he doesn't have any kind of extra resources, just the gold in the middle, which is totally unsafe. But otherwise, behind the base is just a stone. That's pretty much it. That's literally going to be it, and that's not going to be enough at all. So Warrior is, I think, at this stage, kinda halfway out of the game, as he's going for banking, so he's going to be slinging all the little resources that he can gather. With his 58 population economy right now, and with the Paladins in, it's still not enough, because Nazgul is having all the upgrades that he can get, just missing on some archer armor, chainmail armor exactly. But otherwise the castle nicely dropped, and the siege workshops as well, so he's going to be quite ready for the offensive, especially since he's right now going to be basically tripling on the right side against the Courage, who is going to be just held by Winchester. So let's see. Yeah, not a good fight for Winchester. Definitely needs to wait for his Steel teammate. Fight right next to castles, as he's going for padded archer armor and ballistics and elite mango dice right now. And Bell, on the other side we are seeing Bracer, of course, or rather, on the other side is of course still for him. So he's going to be quite nicely prepared in just a minute's time. In the meantime, we have those Searing Forging and Siege Ramps for Nazgul, so he's definitely intent on the siege quite nicely, and quite strongly at this stage. Yeah, fortunately the yellow ones didn't really do their job all that much, because of the nicely positioned mangonels. And this is, well, quite a big fight right now happening, with the cavalry archers missing just the last defense, last armor, not anymore, as it's right now researched, and we are seeing a fight off, the standoff between cavalry archers and mangorais, which should definitely be coming for the mangorais as the better unit overall. In the meantime, there's a pretty decent raid-in from Winchester in the middle. On the gold, you can see the ton of dead villagers, like literally ton, as he has been able to beat the whole army of the blue Chemos. Definitely something that was a bit surprising, I would be thinking. And on the left, are seeing that, yep, a bit of a build by Winchester in the middle, and unfortunately for him, it has been discovered exactly by Nazgul, because he was there first. and he was already switching into halberdiers to basically deal all the paladins by Winchester. On the left side, the castle's basically just now doing the job exactly as expected, going for a bit of Mangurais to basically make sure that none of the villages are all that effective, and yep, this is quite deadly and quite nicely played by Follow Your Mind. So we are waiting for the players, so maybe some of boss or not sure. I'm going to check outside of the game. Maybe they ended a bit prematurely. So far they are still in the game. And we are continuing exactly now. And of course, those siege ramps are not going to be all that effective against, of course, the Mangurais. But on the left though, that's a whole another story. The siege ramps right now by Nazgul are coming forward with another TC being built right next to gold, as he will need the gold mines very soon. And the army of paladins is still very much alive from Winchester, and he is going to be quite tough nut to crack for the opponents, because even though they are having pretty decent amount of archers and camels, they are not really a great counter. The halberdiers are going to be much better, and we'll be seeing if the number is going to be enough, because even halberdiers are kinda squishy and might not be an ensured victory in the battle. Second flank is doing a pretty good job in raiding, trying to prevent any strong economy from CZs. Not bad at all. Right now trying to find something easier to kill than what he was looking at a bit earlier. And well, another flank at the very back, trying to basically wait for, I don't know, maybe even go for a trade in there at the bottom that is right now started by Nazgul. But yeah, that's pretty much it. In the meantime, more villagers coming in for the gold probably. Mining camps for both the gold and the stone. Yeah, it's not really effective. Kind of a random building placing of the mining camp in here, but doesn't really matter all that much, as another castle is going to be dropped right next to the gold mine. That is basically the last one available in here, and we are seeing that the noose around Warrior's neck is definitely closing. And a big battle in the middle, where Courage is actually joining with Winchester, curiously enough, as he's having enough units to fight in the middle. And let's see, I'm not really seeing any kind of remaining halberdiers. They seem to have been already killed by the Mangurais probably, and this means that this attack is not going to be all that successful as maybe CZ's hope. But of course, the build archers are not going to be enough against Lone Palace. Yep, halberdiers still trickling in, whereas there's pretty decent raiding going on by Winchester into the middle of Yellow's base, and even though it might have seemed that actually this game should have been easier for CZs, it most definitely isn't, as Winchester is playing really well. Courage is not playing bad either, and Warrior is definitely hanging on in there, even in a pretty difficult situation himself. Yeah, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on Skull. He's going to lose a ton of villages, even though he is right now at 95. His allies are 138, 39. Decent echo. But this is definitely something that will be noticeable in Yellow's economy. 20, or rather, yeah, about 14 idle out of the 90. That's quite a lot. As they are also seeing that Green is right now trying to push into Kirch's base as well, as he knows there's not much of a defense, but this castle is very important, because not only have they been able to basically push Yellow player back from this position of his siege ramps, of his siege workshop and such, he has conquered basically one gold and a second gold nearby. So this is super important castle, and still there might be a lot of game for us to see, as Winchester is doing a pretty good job, already having the market at the back, and we still very much alive. In the meantime, Warrior is still defending as much as he can, even though he's right now going to be stolen of the gold, robbed of the gold there from both gold mines and also of the stone on the stone mine. As we are seeing right now, Blue switching somewhere else. And where is actually the somewhere else going to be? I'm not exactly sure, but he needs to be careful at the top. Yeah, there's a pretty big lag, it seems like, in the game. It's not really good at all, and are right now moving into the middle, which actually seems like to be slowly coming into VIK's hands, rather power, and they are not really doing half bad. And let's see, because Courage is right now quite nicely camped on the left side, as you can see still the remainder of the raiding on the yellow, and right now switching into green player as well. So Winchester really making himself count and go with coinage. I'm kind of thinking he might be slinging into Warrior, basically trying to make him rebuild and come back into the game fully as he is abandoning his base basically. As Winchester is right now trying to help with the wall in. Doesn't seem like that actually Warrior is going to be having enough. I mean, just 200 stone, that wouldn't be enough for one wall in, and well, Winchester definitely right now working on helping his Warrior teammate. And let's see if that's going to be enough to somehow let him come back into the game or not. They still need to be careful though about the wall in, because even though the Warrior is right now rebuilding, he might actually allow through the left side somehow to go to actually allow the opponents to come into the trade route, especially the Mangudais, and they will be quite deadly in there. Well, bit of a slaughter of the villages. There are random movements all around the map, and well, Mangudais in trade route all know what it basically means. The middle, another push, right now by Courage together with Winchester, and we are also seeing some siege from Winchester finally. So, siege rams coming into the battlefield, and this is looking quite interestingly, because so far we don't really see all that army, all that much of an army from Nazgul. Not exactly sure where his army is. Just now scouting at the back basically, or rather scouting and hanging on in the back, defending against the 3 paladins that were in here. But he's probably going to lose this army, this forward base, and that's not really good for him, because he was ready in here with all the barracks, to spam the halberdiers, but that's not really working for him. I'm not exactly sure why. He really doesn't have the economies right now, even though he's a bit 136 wheelies. Interestingly enough, but he's probably right now falling a bit back, next to the front DC of Skull, and will be hoping that this is going to be the position that he will defend a bit better, and will be able to advance from into the front. So right now, Follow Your Mind is arriving on the battlefield as well, but he kinda could use this hill. The barracks are on. And yeah, Nazgul is right now sending resources to his ally Skull, and he's hoping that he can be strong enough to defend against the push that was attempted by Courage, even slightly. It wasn't really a big one. And of course, the paladins right now from Skull, that's going to be a whole another deal, because that's a Hun exactly as Winchester, fully prepared and going into the attack. And this shouldn't be something that really overall should be able to handle, because even though the Mongolian Mangudais can fight with paladins, they are so strong if you play it correctly. If he actually is fully engaged on the right side, you can see elite skirmishes coming in. It's basically going to mean that Warrior, or rather Winchester in the middle, is going to be alone against both Follow Your Mind and Nazgul, and that's not a situation that he could be surviving like at all. Yeah, Blue's base, or rather Red's base, basically conquered with next castle coming up, the Siege Workshop. And with Courage losing a castle, all those siege gems in here basically losing the very important spot, because this was, because of the double goals, very important for him. He's going to be in pretty deep trouble, as this will come down to fight for this hill yet again, as Winchester is attempting to help even with Hussars, probably running out of gold, I would be expecting. Yeah, you can see that he's basically running out of resources right now, and this will mean the gold will come back into Skull's power, as it was in some few minutes ago. They saw it at Milk Rain, trying to make sure that their buildings are a bit stronger, and Bloom Touch is coming in through Fun. That's definitely a good unit to use against the Mangudais, especially with a pretty big hill right in here. And Blue coming in as well. Oh, so that's going to be a full-on triple. And since basically Purple is right now on the right side as well, that kind of makes sense. This is going to be basically the last stand, and yeah, GG's are called. As right about now, there's also a bit of an attack from the left, basically into the economy of the Purple player. And even though he did all he could, fortunately it wasn't enough for VIKs, and CZs have been in the second game, the home map of VIKs also, and they are leading in the match 2-0. Good games so far, very good games, and it almost looked like that actually Winchester can push this through the middle in there. That was really impressive and very brutal raiding into Skull and even into Nazgul. So definitely his skill shown through, shining through quite strongly, but yep, CZ simply were better the overall game. Let's check the achievements. With Nazgul, yeah, well, no, again, I have to say that Winchester played really the best. Definitely deserves the MVP, and he wasn't really far behind in the score in there. Really well indeed. You can see that Warrior was slinging into Courage to give him some extra resources as a Mongol, which makes sense. I need the help in the middle game. But yeah, 3 basically fully developed players, that's always better than 2 and a slang. In the late game, when everything is basically more or less set up in the battlefields. Well, GG.